Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and today I'm going to show you a couple of products that are really great for working with felt. So this is a pattern that I've been designing for a little felt monster. You can see this is the prototype that I've been working from. So it's going to have French knots all over him, and I wanted to put the knots on there. Some people really like to have every single bit that they're going to embroider right there on the pattern. So for this one, I've got all of the knots, the places for the French knots marked on there, as well as for his face. And I've got all the fussy little parts, the little bottoms to his feet and his arms. Felt, you really want to cut accurately, and it's very difficult sometimes to cut these small pieces accurately. So what I've done with this is I've transferred the entire pattern to the magical embroidery stuff that I have a whole video showing how to use. But I've stuck that down to the felt now. I'm going to embroider all of the dots. I'm going to embroider his face on there, and then I'm going to cut the pieces out, and then I'm going to soak the stuff off. This stuff dissolves in water. So after I do the embroidery and after I cut all the pieces out, I'm going to dump them into some cold water and soak it off. Normally you can soak this stuff off with warm water and it comes off faster with warm water. But there's wool in this felt, so you don't want to put warm water on it because it'll pebble up. It's a neat texture, but if you don't want it, don't put it in hot water. It'll also shrink it up a little bit. So I'm going to soak these off in cold water. It'll come right off. I'll lay it out and dry, and then I'll do the final hand sewing together. This is great stuff. You know I love the magical embroidery stuff, but it's a little expensive. It's about $1 a sheet. I just prices out to a little bit more than $1 a sheet. And if you don't feel the need to have every French knot on yours marked, or if you're doing a different pattern that doesn't have a lot of embroidery on it first, you don't want to spend $1 a sheet just to transfer your pattern. But you do want to be able to transfer your pattern accurately. So in that situation, I just found out about this new product. It may not be new, but it's new to me. This is printable freezer paper. I've talked about freezer paper before, and a couple of you have said that freezer paper is not available in your countries. In the United States, it's in every grocery store with the aluminum foil and stuff. But these are printable sheets of freezer paper. So they're papery on the one side, and the back side is shiny. It's got kind of a plasticky stuff on it. And I'm going to show you what's great about it in just a second. But I printed my image on here. This stuff you can only use this in an inkjet printer, so be aware of that. Only inkjet. The heat of a laser printer and the heat of a copy machine will melt it. So don't try and do that. It only works in a laser printer. The magical embroidery stuff you can use in a laser printer or in a copy machine, but this is laser printer only. This comes out to about 30 cents a sheet, so it's much cheaper. You print your page, your pattern page, and then we're going to take it over to the iron and we are going to fuse it to the fleece. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so I printed this out. Remember, it's inkjet only. I think I said laser only a second ago. It's inkjet only. The heat, you're going to see what heat does to it. So I've got my iron, and I'm going to stick this down to my felt. And now they are stuck together. That's not coming off. We'll take it back over to the work table. Normally, things like these little arms would be very fussy to cut out. But because the freezer paper sticks to the felt, you cut right through the paper and the felt together. And you can cut these fussy shapes right out. Very, very accurately. So then after you cut the shape out, sometimes I'll leave the paper piece on there until I'm really ready to sew it together because it helps me to identify what the pieces are, especially if it has a name on it. This one is pretty obvious, it's an arm. And the stuff will peel right off without leaving any residue behind. And you have a really nice and neat cutting. So this is a great product to use if you just want to cut the shapes out accurately, but you're not worried about keeping all of the dot markings because you're comfortable with randomness, and you can stitch those French knots in there without having that guide. So you'll cut those pieces out and then peel that off, so you'll lose that marking. So you print the freezer paper, you print the image onto the freezer paper, stick it down to the felt, cut it out, peel off the freezer paper, and you have all the felt pieces cut very precisely and ready to sew together. So that's it. These are two products that are really, really fabulous to work with digital patterns because you don't have to trace at all. You've got a digital file of the pattern. They work with regular printers, and you can just print them right out. Remember, the magical embroidery stuff you can use on an inkjet printer or on a copy machine. The freezer paper you can only use on an inkjet printer, but you can print your file out as many times as you want and you never have to trace anything. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World. I'll see you next time.